Hello, this is Todd Luck, and this is a video on Masters of the Universe Origins Mossman. And this is not going to be a review of the figure itself, but a video on the figure's smell. Now, if that sounds weird, let me do a little bit of a quick recap previously on Todd Luck's videos. So, Masters of the Universe is an action figure line from the 80s that was well known for its action features. Like, for instance, here, Roboto, when you twist his waist, his mouth and his gears move. Or, we've got Rattler here and his neck will extend when you press a button. Things like that. And so there were two figures in the line whose action feature was that the figures smelled. One of them was Mossman, who smelled like pine. The other was Stinkor, whose power was that he smelled bad. As you can probably tell, I don't have either of those vintage figures, and nobody I knew had Stinkor because they didn't want him to smell up their collection, and the same was probably true of Mossman. However, the 2002 Masters of the Universe animated series made both Mossman and Stinkor into incredibly cool characters that I loved. And so when I later saw that there was a Masters of the Universe Classics Mossman that I could get for dirt cheap, I went ahead and got it. But little did I suspect the power of Mossman, because his smell is so strong, it can make your nostrils burn. It can smell up every single thing in your collection, which I found out the hard way. I put him in a Ziploc bag in a box I store my other figures with after I had displayed him for a long time, right? This guy had a long time to air out, and then after so many years, that Ziploc bag did not hold in the smell anymore. And so now I have a box full of Masters of the Universe figures that smell like pine. So that is the curse of Mossman. And so I now keep him in this container, and I can still smell him a little bit even inside of his plastic prison. In recent years, in the Masters of the Universe Origins line, they have released Stinkor. Now, his smell is not as strong as Classics Mossman. In fact, it's so weak that it upset a lot of people who wanted him to smell really bad. And you will get his odor if you sniff him. You can smell it, and he does smell a bit different than the other figures, and it's a little unpleasant, but it's not enough to stink up your collection or stink you out of house and home, which I am fine as an adult collector. I don't need an action figure to do either of those things for me. In fact, it is a little bit weird that in the modern action figure lines, Classics and Origins, that they've left out a ton of action figures on the different figures, but for whatever reason, they decided that the one action feature they can never leave out is, of course, smell. And so I got this Mossman a couple weeks ago. I got him off the shelf at Walmart, and he is a Walmart exclusive, so hopefully you guys can snag him too if you're looking for him. And I will say I can get a little bit of pine smell through the packaging. And it's not strong enough that like I smelled them like walking down the aisle at Walmart, but it is definitely something that I can smell even through the packaging. So this might be something to note if you're a mint on card collector, or if you plan on storing him in the box, that you might just want to take precautions from Mossman, even in packaging, smelling up other things you might store him with. Because that box may end up being like that Ziploc bag that I had Classics in, where at some point it really, really does seep through this box and it will smell up everything, right? However, one thing I do want to point out before we open this sucker up is just how beautiful this box is. This is a premium action figure because he's flocked. We'll take a look at that when we open him, but man, this artwork really does help with that price point, because this is just absolutely beautiful. It's on all sides of this packaging, and then we get this absolutely gorgeous artwork on the back. Just really, really beautiful. And the great thing is it is collector friendly, and we're just going to be able to cut this open and then take them out and just put them back in if we want to. All right, and so let's discover if Masters of the Universe Origins Mossman is a blessing or a curse, and open this up. So there's some tape on the side, and so I'm just going to cut that open. And it opens right up, no need to damage the packaging, and you can slide Moss Man right out. Now, one thing I will say is that I can already smell it a lot stronger now that I've opened this thing. So I am unleashing the power of Moss Man. Oh yeah, he smells like pine. And wow, he does smell like pine. Definitely smelling that. Maybe is it so strong it's coming through the video? Can you smell it on your device? Can you get the pine odor? So I can definitely smell it. I can taste it a little bit. It is pretty strong, but I don't think anywhere near as strong as Classics Moss Man. My nostrils aren't burning or anything like that. So this plastic just pulls forward from the backer here, and then you have your mini comic that was put in like this. And so, yeah, the mini comic is a little bit bent, as you can see, and that is unfortunate. I saw that in a Pixel Dan video. I think it was Pixel Dan, and I was kind of wondering why it was all bent up like that. And unfortunately, that's the way it comes. So I would say the mini comic definitely has that pine smell that seeped into it. Now, it's not soaked in the same stuff that Moss Man is that makes him smell, but obviously the smell does absorb into the things that are around him. How much of a concern this would be if you stored it with other mini comics, I'm not sure. Probably out of an abundance of caution, I'll probably be keeping this in some kind of plastic bag or something to try to separate it out from the other mini comics. I keep all of them in like a shoebox, so definitely don't want it to smell up everything else in there. So everything in the packaging here just pulls right out. There's no ties tying it in, so you should be able to take everything in and out without a problem. All right, so talking about his accessories, he comes with 2 weapons, an interchangeable hand and head, neither of which are flocked, and a yellow version of the Beastman harness. Now, all of these have not been soaked with, what makes Mossman smell, right? But they have had the smell soak into them. And so, it's not real strong, but I would caution against, putting this on your Beastman permanently. I mean, for a temporary display, it's fine probably, but if you want to put this on your Beastman and have him displayed like that for years, or store him like this and have it for decades, you may end up with a Beastman that smells like pine. I'm probably not going to use most of the accessories except maybe the weapons. I'll probably either store them separately or store them with Mossman, just out of an abundance of caution, just so they don't smell up the other weapons that I have stored in my box. And here is the main attraction, Mr. Mossman. And so he is definitely flocked, and he does definitely have that pine smell. No one can complain that this guy does not smell like pine. He definitely does. Again, it's not particularly overwhelming. I can actually stand it right now, so that's good. And the flocking is really impressive. There's actually different colors of moss on him. It feels very nice, very soft. He isn't shedding, at least not right now. He is fully articulated with flocking just everywhere, right? And it's kind of interesting. The flocking actually looks kind of like a suit. If you've ever watched The Tick, there's a character called Carpet Man who wears a suit made of carpet. This is kind of what it reminds me of, but it works really well. I like it. So if I put them on the shelf behind me, I can still smell them, but again, it's not overpowering. So if I go to the other end of my bedroom, I can't really get much of a whiff of him. There may be a slight subtle odor, but he's definitely nowhere near as strong as Classics Mossman. And so I'm definitely not as concerned about him as I am about Classics Mossman. And so that's good. Definitely he's fine to display by himself. I may even display him with other figures as long as it's an open space, right, where he can air out. And as far as storing him goes, definitely we'll probably be storing him in a similar way that I do Classics Mossman, because I still think he can probably definitely smell up some things around him. But I think this is a good compromise between a figure that barely has a smell and one that'll stink you out of house and home. I think everyone can be happy with this one, and it's a really, really cool figure. All right, that's it. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, Mossman says, good journey.